Hello everyone. Oh shit. Right there. Got it.
We want plays out, and we want plays out. We want plays out, and we want plays out.
Hello everyone, welcome to Win or Lose, 5 lessons learned, and obviously today we're going to touch on the Tottenham game. It's about time, we need to break it down now. We've had a day or so to kind of recover from it. Now it's time to thinking caps on. Let's just dive into it together because there's a couple of issues, definitely a couple of issues coming out from this which we need to discuss. I'm going to kick it off with Casemiro and Mason Mount. They don't work together, simple as that. Casemiro looked insanely rusty in that game, off the pace. I believe in 2 games he's had 6 out of 21 ground duels won, which is unlike him at all. He has too much ground to cover. He looks sluggish like most of the team. Bissouma and Sarr just completely outboxed him in that midfield, 2-1. So this led to everyone kind of calling for Amrabat, and rightly so, but that's wishful thinking at the moment, simply because we need someone to leave the club before we can bring Amrabat in. So it's all good saying, yeah, get him in. But it's still not happened. Amrabat's been ready since like the end of June, and it's still not happening. So you can't be wishful with a transfer to come in and solve all your problems. One thing I would have said is Kobe Mainoo, before he got injured, looked like he could step up to the plate. Whether that was in place of Casemiro, which might be too much pressure on the kid's shoulders for now, or you can play alongside him so you've got a bit more defensive security when you're going forward. Regardless, whatever it is, Mason Mount is effectively another Bruno Fernandes. So how do you fit them both in? Because I thought with them both, with the dog-like work they do off the ball, I thought it would work. Maybe it will still work. Who knows? But Casemiro simply has too much space to deal with, and he's not mobile enough. I think the only player who could potentially work in that system is an N'Golo Kante, because he does the work effectively of 2 players, and he can move the ball quickly. So if you had Kante, Bruno Fernandes, and Mason Mount, you might be onto something. But I don't know how he's going to switch it up, whether you move one out onto the wing, a Mount or Bruno. But again, do you want to use the players on the wing like a Bruno, your captain? I don't know. I thought both of them were poor, to be honest with you. Bruno Fernandes is slightly worrying me. You look at a captain and what you want from him, and he's not putting out that level of consistency and performing. So yeah, how do you manage that? How do you manage that? Do we have to rely on Amrabat coming in? Is that it? And all our season's just going to be a struggle? Or do you revert back to what you was doing last season? You bring Eriksen in and then tweak a few. I don't know what he's going to do. But it's clear that it's been 2 games now and it just hasn't worked. So please change it immediately. Please. Number 2, Erik ten Hag has to take responsibility. Since arriving at Manchester United, he's been almost perfect. You look at, the situations he's handled with Cristiano Ronaldo, David De Gea, Harry Maguire, the stuff off the pitch. Everything he has done, the decisions that he's made have been spot on, right? Even if you go back to some of the games last season, in-game tactics, like Manchester City at Old Trafford, where Kyle Walker was just running riot and Kevin De Bruyne was running riot, he addressed them, and we ended up going on to win the game. And that's not the only game. It's been plenty of games against Barcelona, big games that we've won, where he's made the difference by changing it tactically. Against Spurs on Saturday, Sunday, I can't remember when it was now, but against Spurs, there was no change. The first half looked really, really promising. We was aggressive, we was pressing, the combinational play was really, really good. We was creating chances. The high press was working when we needed it to, the counter press, sorry. But we just wasn't finishing them. Now, maybe, the penalty situation and that kind of played into it. But the second half just completely faded off. He was taking full control. And then the subs that he made was a little bit suspicious, like the timing of him. Like, it just didn't make sense for me. And that was the first game I've watched Erik ten Hag. Well, maybe the Wolves game as well, where I've watched him like, usually you're really good at this, at tweaking things. I can't remember the specific subs he made, but it was like Palestra, who came on really, really late. Bruno Fernandes just wouldn't take him off at all. He just seems to want to play him into the ground, which I don't understand, because he's played poor the past 2 games. I think Bruno Fernandes needs putting in a cryo chamber for like a week or 2 weeks. I really, really do, because he is way off the pace at the minute, like the rest of the team. I'm going to touch on fitness in a second, but there was a few tactical tweaks that Ten Hag didn't make, and the way he set up in the first half, fine. Both teams had chances, but ultimately we were the better team. Second half, he needed to switch it up, and he didn't, and that's on the manager. Number 3, I want to talk about bad fitness. It's so obvious. I mean, I've seen numerous Premier League teams who are near the top of the table play the same team consecutively for 2 games, and they've looked absolutely fine. We look like we are struggling. We look like we've not had any breakfast in the morning, 3 hours sleep, and it's just go and play, lads, go and do your thing. That's honestly how it looks. The pre-season, there was a lot of question marks around this, going to loads of different places and travelling, and we never really had our consistent 11, did we, in pre-season, who we were supposed to start with. Obviously, recruitment sometimes doesn't help with that. You want Rasmus Højlund in earlier, but that didn't happen for whatever reasons. We prioritised Mason Mount, so he was the first one through the door who really got embedded with the team, but still looks like there's a disconnect there. And then Onana's fabulous, and he looked good pre-season as well, but the players looked disjointed. It looked like a team of individuals in the second half, and I know that's kind of a cliche thing to say, and people like saying it, whatever. We really, really did. It just looked so separated, just struggling to deal with the transitions that the Spurs were creating with Maddison and Kulusevski, and just like it looked like we was dragging ourselves. And this is a second game. It's only the second game of the season. A very long season. We play a lot of games, so I think we need a few more bodies in. We need Gravenbach and Amrabat in there. We need a few more players to come in and share the load. Another striker we need as well, but which is probably isn't going to happen. But if the fitness levels are like this for the start of the season, I'm really, really worried. And not only that, I think there's something going on mentally behind the scenes as well. You obviously got everything going on with Greenwood and the takeover and stuff like that. So maybe that's having an effect on the club, and certain people have had arguments or debate. I don't know. I can only speculate. But something is definitely there, and it needs to be addressed. Number 4, we need Rasmus Højlund in ASAP. And it's a lot of pressure on the kid. It is a lot of pressure. He's only 20 years old, bought for a huge price tag. He's only got 9 goals for Atlanta. He's got 44 goals in his whole career, and 15 of them was at under 19 level, I believe. So this is a lot to say to a kid. Here's a number 9 shirt for Manchester United, who in the past 10 years, many have failed. Very few have succeeded in that number 9. You know, goal scored, 20 plus goals. It's a lot to ask. And I just hope, from the fan base's perspective, they're not expecting him to come in and do exactly what Erling Haaland does. He's not going to do that. When Erling Haaland was bought from Borussia Dortmund, he was already the top striker in Europe alongside Kylian Mbappe. He was right up there. His Champions League record was scary, and his record in the league was also scary. Like a goal every single game, guaranteed. Rasmus Højlund is much different. He's a raw talent. He's got similar qualities to Haaland, but he also has his own style as well. You know, he can play to feet. I think he's a bit better at Haaland than that. He can run in behind. He can be quick on those transitional moments. And we need a number 9 who can finish. Last season, you look at the 3 strikers we had: Weghorst, Ronaldo and Martial. Martial was never fit. He scored when he got on the pitch, but let's be honest, he was never ever on the pitch. Cristiano Ronaldo hardly scored as well, because let's be honest, he wasn't on the pitch and then decided to do an interview with Piers Morgan, and Weghorst was just Weghorst. He was done one. He didn't score 1 league goal. So in total, then 3 strikers had the combination of 6 goals, I believe, in the league, something along the lines of that, and we still managed to finish 3rd and win a Carabao Cup. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So the pressure on Rasmus Højlund is huge. I just hope he has the personality to deal with it. He seems like quite confident, not arrogant, but the right amount of confidence. He has the ability. He's got the stature, the frame. He's quick, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time. We just need a striker in there. We need a focal point, because Marcus Rashford cannot play. I touched on that in the last Win or Lose 5 lessons. Rashford as a 9 doesn't work. He looked frustrated when he came off. He was throwing shit about. He clearly wants to be on the left-hand side, and we're trying to squeeze Garnacho in, then Antony and Rashford. Too many selfish players. All 3 of them weren't great, if we're being completely honest. Okay, things like that happen, but we move. Glass nearly smashed there. But yeah, so Rasmus Højlund coming in, yes, we want him to succeed, and yes, there's a little level of expectation, but let's not bank all your hopes on him. Let's, you know, ideally you would have liked a Kane and a Højlund so they can dovetail and then think it, but as it stands right now, it's Højlund right into the fire. Let's see if he copes with it. Number 5, the resurgence of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. How good has he been, by the way? I think only the past 2 games, there's only been a couple of standout players who've put in a form of consistency. I think Onana has been great. I think Wan-Bissaka has been great. And I think Varane has been really, really good as well. The other 2, Shaw has had his moments. He's looked all right. Lissandro's been off the boil. And to be honest, the way things are going at the minute, like the things I just previously touched on, it looks like we're going to have to rely on our defence again this year to kind of get us through the shit. Look, they did concede 2 goals, and that's something we can discuss. One of them was a deflection, basically, off Martinez, and the other one, like, Onana couldn't have done anything about it. But just speaking specifically from a defensive point of view, Wan-Bissaka in his 1v1 duels has been fantastic. Getting forward, he's developed even more. He's only 23 years old, still got plenty of development. And it's weird because when Dalot was in the picture, when we first extended his contract, it looked like, yeah, this is the guy now. Everyone was saying sell Wan-Bissaka if we can recoup 20 to 30 million pounds. I think he's recaptured the form and got even better. He's been unbelievable, and on form, he's one of the best right backs in the league for me at the moment. Yes, he still has his, deficiencies going forward, and there are certain times, but he has improved. He's got better than Dalot, I would say, at a minute. He is. He's a number 1 choice, and I for one love a resurgence story. I love the fact that everybody was writing him off, and he's come back from the dead, and he's like, right, what you're going to do now? You have to take my spot now. And the one thing about Wan-Bissaka is, regardless if you're coming up against a PSG with an Mbappe, or you're coming up Bayern Munich with Leroy Sané, or Mitoma, for example, whoever it is, he locks him down. So that side, just consciously in your head, it's like, don't worry about it, because Wan-Bissaka's there. Whereas when you played the low, you're like, they can get in behind there. I know he's good going forward, but they can do this. And he seems to have a little bit of a partnership blossoming with Anthony, which I'm liking the development of that. Anthony, and I'll touch on him another day, he needs to improve. He's been horrendous past couple of days. But Wan-Bissaka, congratulations, because you've been fantastic. You've been our best player so far this season. I know we're only 2 games in, but it's looking like, it's looking promising for him. And I hope he does get the contract extension that there have been talks about. I think that's going to happen when the transfer window ends, and it's been deserved. I'm buzzing for him. So, yeah, Wan-Bissaka, well done. Let me know if there's anything else you thought I should have spoken about. Obviously, there was a few things like Anthony and Garnacho, but it is 5 things that we've learned, and I think them 5 things were the main things that stood out from the Tottenham game. But yeah, let me know your opinions in the chat. Leave a like on the video for us, and subscribe to Real Reds Talk.